What's going on, Paisanos? V here, coming at you guys. Well, with the podcast, it's been a while since I've done my podcast, and I really do like doing them. So, in this instance, what I'm doing, by the way, in case you guys are listening, I'm doing my podcast on YouTube. And if you're watching this video on YouTube, I'm doing a podcast that you can find on Apple Store and Spotify. Links will be down below. Check them out. We'll be doing them more often, I think. So, I really want to start this podcast off right. I think the biggest topic I want to start off with, the biggest question I get actually is, when will the market go down? A lot of people ask me, they go, V, what's going on with the market? Is it ever going to just settle? Or is the market going to flatline? Or is the market just going to pop like a bubble, like the housing market? And I really think that's a simplistic way to look at it. A lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players see the market as one big beast. And it is, in a weird way. It is. But it's not necessarily just one beast that if you defeat the beast, that's it. The market kind of settles down or pops or whatever you want it to happen at the time you want it to happen at. That's not necessarily how the market works. It doesn't work that way. What we see with the market is cards, historically, have sporadically when moved in the market, well, relatively sporadic. What I mean by this is, one week you might get these couple of cards that might be the hot cards of the week. The following week, more cards, the hot cards of the week. Now, with the whole entire, virus of unknown origin, what we're seeing here is we're seeing a lot of people, stay home and not really go to the card shop. So you would think, wait, V, that means nobody would buy into the cards, the market would actually go down. Well, yes and no. The collector's market doesn't need a card shop. The casual market kind of needs a card shop, and the competitive market does need a card shop. So what do we see? We saw a lot of these collector's cards, Ghost Rare specifically, go up high in value. Okay, that makes sense. Perfect sense, to be honest with you. But what happened? Well, we started seeing other cards go up in value. Meta cards still holding value. And I don't think it's just because of remote duels. I think it's because Yu-Gi-Oh players that are just looking to play Yu-Gi-Oh. And there's different variations of competitive Yu-Gi-Oh players that are throwing money into this game. There's those who have the ability to go to locals. There's those that are doing remote duels. There's those that are building decks to have the decks for whenever anything happens, they're ready. And then there are those who are just going, yeah, I'm not buying nothing until the game starts again. And all those players are correct. There's no wrong answers here. And I really feel like a lot of people don't really understand the fact that the market is moving based off that, as well as, once again, collectors. And for casuals, well, once again, if you don't give me somewhere to go play, and you're a casual Yu-Gi-Oh player, and, well, if you take the proper precautions, you can go play with your friends elsewhere. You don't need the card shop as much as a competitive player might need the card shop. Now, going back to the market, I think a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players are looking at it as one big entity. They're saying when the market's going to calm down, which is another way of them saying is, when can I go in and buy cards? Specifically, cards are just really hard to get. Ultimate rares, maybe old school ultimate rares, maybe some gold format cards, or maybe collector's rares, or maybe ghost rares. And whenever I hear that, the first thing in my head, I go, well, what are you looking to get at the market? Because if that's the case, if you want something to calm down, you obviously want an opportunity. People are opportunistic by nature, and that's not a big deal, but at least work with me on what you want from the market. Because you said, V, I want the Ghost Rare market to plummet down so that I could buy the Ghost Rares and then rise up again. I want that to happen. You're probably going to be out of luck. Because not that the Ghost Rare market will ever, tank down or go down or stabilize. All those are kind of possibilities. Realistically, what I think would happen, though, is if anything, the Ghost market would only settle. Maybe, if you're lucky, go down very small decline, and then after that, stabilize. That's what the possibility of the Ghost Rare markets. And the reason why is because you got to realize, everybody holding a Ghost Rare Stardust Dragon, first edition, it's not going to go one day. They're not going to wake up and go, oh, you know what? Since I bought this Ghost Rare Stardust Dragon, I have telekinesis to everybody now owns this Ghost Rare Stardust Dragon, and I think we should all throw this card into the market and then be competitive against each other, but further decline the value of Ghost Rare Stardust First Edition Dragon, or whatever you want to call it. I really messed that name up. That's probably not going to happen, and these cards are going to be getting harder and harder and harder to find. Remember what I always say: the rarity with sickness motto is always, if it's hard for you to find, I want it times 3. Obviously, 3 being the set of the game. Obviously, it's hard for you to find. It's going to be valuable, and obviously, I want it because I want the valuable cards. And that's mentality is for every Yu-Gi-Oh player. Whether you play who's just a casual but still wants nice, valuable cards, because we only want good things in life, valuable things in life, or you're just kind of Yu-Gi-Oh player that's sitting there going, well, I just want more. And, sure, I guess so, but the way you got to look at it is, looking at the ghost rare market, that's probably not going to happen. Those players that are owning those ghost rares are not going to be universally dumping ghost rares onto the market. And then somebody go, well, V, maybe you got a couple of guys that dump it. No. If I'm selling a card at $500 ghost rare, let's say Star Strike ghost rare in the market, $500, that's what I'm selling it for. How much are you going to be listing yours? Are you selling it for $200? Dummy, I'll buy it, list mine, send yours for $4.99. Get wrecked. No, you're not an idiot. You're going to be selling the card for Jeopardy prices. Is Jeopardy? I actually for the game. I don't watch game shows in a long while, but when you like undercut by like a penny, so you'll probably list yours for $499.99. And then if I really want to sell and I see that you're listing it for a penny less, I'll go, you know what? I'll take the penny hit as long as I can have mine be the lowest price point, which will make people want to buy mine. So I'll list mine for $499.98. So, excuse me. That's how to really evaluate whether the market's going to decline as far as like harder to get cards within like ghost rares. Can it happen? I guess so. In a world where every Yu-Gi-Oh player wakes up, owns a card, and gets cardboard telekinesis, and decides to list that card up, yeah, I guess it can happen. Will it happen? Probably not. It's really other than the game of Yu-Gi-Oh dying out, Konami reprinting the same exact card, or maybe even printing a ghost rare version, which would be pretty hurtful to the market. It probably won't happen. In fact, if you got an old collectible card and Konami releases it at another rarity, like we saw with like Collector's Rare Stardust Dragon or BLS, the collectors that want those cards that have the other versions are just gonna buy those. They don't care, and those to them, once again, since they're relatively new, will be a little bit easier to get, so they will buy it instantly from you. You got a Collector's Rare BLS, you say 300, a collector's around, they'll buy it, or you list it online, they'll buy it. So I think that's something a lot of people kind of forget about as far as the market declining. So that's for ghost rares. I think we can make almost the same comparison as far as ultimate rares, depending on the ultimate rare, but older ultis like Tour Guide, I think we kind of can make that same comparison. And even until we get to the level of like secret rares or commons or what have you, I think we can make a relatively decent comparison. If there's ample supply out, obviously the card's not going to have high value for the most part. You know, besides like new cards or OTS packs that are relatively recent. Okay, so now we established the fact that the market can't tank. That's important. Because a lot of people and one thing people hit me up, was the market, the Yu-Gi-Oh market's eventually going to pop like a bubble. I think we established that just cannot happen. It's almost impossible for that to happen, okay? Now that we have done that, by the way, this is my podcast. Once again, anyone watching this video or anyone listening, check my YouTube channel out, YGOPaisano on YouTube. My podcast, I'll put links down below for my guys watching on YouTube. But yeah, I think we established the market just can't blow up. I think we're pretty clean on that. Alluding to a couple of, once again, external factors. Once again, I think it's, the Yu-Gi-Oh game dying out and stuff like that. The market's pretty much going to be stable, at the very least, for valuable cards. That's interesting. Okay, now let's talk about certain parts of the market dying, as far as, like, people throwing in money into the competitive meta. Can we all agree that's insane to think that it's going to calm down? I think it's a storm, and we're not done with it. In fact, you want my honest opinion as far as evaluating the current competitive meta market, we're in the eye of the storm. A lot of cards are selling as we wait for the ban list. And then once we get the ban list, we get right back into the storm. And we're not even done yet, because you got to realize the fact that, and I hate bringing outside stuff into here because Yu-Gi-Oh is a way to detach us from the crazy reality that is this world, 2020. But if the vaccine does get out and we can return to locals, those competitive players that stop playing, there's a whole new market that's going to hit instantly. You got to realize, if Konami's like, we're doing a YCS, everyone's coming, vaccines, everyone's been vaccinated up, YCS, what's good? Everyone, and I mean everyone that didn't play Yu-Gi-Oh, it's going to slap the market within a day. Within a day, the market's going to react immediately. That's number one. Number two, stimulus, everyone's going to react immediately. We saw it already. It's going to happen already. So what's going to happen with the competitive market is, it's not necessarily a matter of it going down. It's a matter of it going up and down like a roller coaster. Obviously, with changes as far as competitive decks, they will go down. But they're only going to be replaced by other competitive cards within competitive decks. So they will go up. You see what I'm saying here? So looking at the competitive market, can it go down and can it have some kind of like cooling off period? No, it's never really happened, to be honest with you. Even pre-pandemic, it's never really happened. The only time I think we kind of saw something similar, and I mean very similar to that, is when we had like a really bad meta, a tier 0 meta. I'm talking about like Zodiacs, like you make a mistake, you still go +6. I'm talking about like Dragon Rulers, a crazy tier meta. But even in that meta, think about it. If you went in Dragon Ruler meta, would you still buy from the market? Yeah, you would. What would you buy? What would you buy? Collectible cards of potential value. So even though front end is bad, back end there's still potential. And I think we all can agree that if we were on Dragon Ruler format right now, and you slapped us in front of TCG player, we would probably be buying cards, not selling cards. And once again, I think that's something a lot of people that are all these doom and gloom about the Yu-Gi-Oh market, they're just not seeing. They don't want to see. Now, do I think the market is crazy right now? Of course it is. The market has only increased in its craziness. Very important. It's only went crazier and crazier and crazier. With this pandemic, it's definitely expedited the process, so it's hit us a lot harder, faster. And you go places see now going, okay, it's going to cool off. But what you're not understanding is the fact that the market has always been insane. The competitive market has always been like this. It's only been more agitated with Yu-Gi-Oh players pent up, not be able to go to physical regionals and a YCS, so they're taking the remote duels. But this is not even the Yu-Gi-Oh competitive player base, to meme it right, is not even at their full power in the market. The collector's player base is full power within the market. The casual player base doesn't have any power. They are sporadic at best. That's the best way I can break down the entire market right now. Now, can that change? Of course it can. But will it? Probably not. Konami likes the fact that they can still make a ton of money. Even more money in a pandemic. Even more money not only within the pandemic, but by running events online that are getting the same. The last extravaganza had, I think, 177 plays, I believe. That's a decent average regionals, depending where you go. If you're in California, it's a horrible one. But literally everywhere else, it's a pretty decent regionals. Now, I'll keep upscaling that by getting newer and newer, more and more players playing remote duels. What we're going to be seeing is more people wanting to get excited about it. Konami's throwing more, and I always call it the carrot on the stick routine. And you guys don't know what that is. It's basically, you got a carrot, you got a stick, he's running a little treadmill, he'll never eat the carrot, but he's always going to run pretending to eat the carrot. Some people do, most don't. And what I mean by that is, you're going to get a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players that are going to want to play whatever pricing Konami's going to offer them. Konami's going to offer everybody a spot to play in a tournament, to play for a 16-man, I think, tournament, a 13-man tournament, to win nothing. You'll get a playmat, I think, and like a phone holder or whatever. Listen, that carrot and stick thing is working. And if Konami can add more price support, being the fact that they're not spending money on, well, physical events, it'd be great to see, actually. So there's definitely a lot of potential with remote duels. But going back to what I was saying before, though, the market is not cooling down. The market's only going to get crazier. And do I think there'll be a time where it's a lot more calmer, a lot more sane than what it is now? Yes. But it's going to be a while. We're talking like after pandemic. We're talking like after Yu-Gi-Oh events have been going on for a while. We're talking after nationals. Because after the pandemic, after Yu-Gi-Oh events, we have physical nationals, which will probably be popping off. If I had to guess, we're talking after that. And then we're talking after the lull, which is not much of a lull, as Konami gets ready for the next regional season. So you got at least 1 year of an insane market. 1 year of the craziness that is the Yu-Gi-Oh market. At least. And that's a minimum. That's being very, very, very conservative. Because you got to realize, when we go into that new market, what happens afterwards? And in that new season, what happens immediately afterwards? The ban list. And what happens with the ban list? The market goes crazy. And it's no wonder when you look at the market, you look and you grab cards that are banned, the TCG ban list, and then you look over on the online website and you find out that those cards have a lot of value. Because Konami is changing the ban list. They're adding more fuel to the fire. They want to keep this train pumping. They don't want to stop it. They're making money. Players are getting excited. Players investing in the market are making money as well. So there's a lot of things happening at the same time. And they always go hand in hand. They always have to go hand in hand in order to balance the game out. Now, we can look at other games like Pokemon. We can look at other games like Magic the Gathering. And we can talk about how their markets are changing depending on their outlined circumstances. But overall, Yu-Gi-Oh is blowing everything out the water. And some people are saying, well, I think that looking at Pokemon, what we're seeing is that they're doing better than Yu-Gi-Oh. No, they're really not. They're doing good. Don't get me wrong. But Pokemon is, I think the Pokemon trading card game just has no idea the potential of what's going to happen to their market. Their market is going to get wild. Their market is not crazy yet. The collectible market is crazy, 100%. But the other two outlying factors, the casuals in that market, the competitive players in that market, they have not even really slapped that market yet. The Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG market is constantly being challenged, constantly being moved, constantly getting slapped around, and responding by having these cards increase higher and higher and higher and higher in value. The harder it is for you to get, I want times 3, is happening within a lot of cards of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Market. Speculation with the information coming out from the OCG is impacting the TCG market. It's impacting it. It's 100%. There's a structure coming on Oshi in 6 months. All right. Which is for Blackwings? Buy out Blackwings. That is happening. And does that market settle eventually? Of course it does. But it doesn't settle to where it is. You know, I have this thing of gum over here. And let's say there's a new gum deck coming out, and this gum card is an old ultimate rare. It's worth about like $8, let's say. Well, it gets bought out, it goes like 60. Okay, the gum deck finally reaches here in TCG Player, in the TCG, and at the very best for market wise, it goes down. The worst is it becomes meta. Gum becomes tier 1. You don't want that. Let's say gum becomes tier 3. It's garbage, but it had a lot of hype. This card that went so high in value is gonna go back down to $25. So what happened? The card went from 8 to 25, realistically. But what everyone's seeing is, it went from 60 to 25. They'll see that as a cooling off. I personally, and I think everyone that's been involved in the market for a while, sees that as growth. One of my favorite comedians, Patricia Neal, had another example. And I really want to say it to you guys. I think it's really good if you guys are into this as well. It adds a little more flavor to it. It's a shoe example. If a company's selling a shoe to you, and they have a shoe, and the only reason I'm saying this is because he's my favorite comedian, but they're selling a shoe to you, and if they have the price of the shoe at $70 and they raise it to $100, everyone goes crazy, and then they make the shoe price go on to like $80, and everyone goes, whew, that was crazy. Okay, good, I'll buy the shoe. They raised the price by $10, but you didn't see that because you only responded to the crazy high price point. And that's the Yu-Gi-Oh! Market when it comes down to speculation as well. Now, can it be justified? Of course. There's been times where cards have been rightfully so to increase in value. Do they always stay up high? Probably not, but when it comes to TCG, they do remain relatively expensive still. And I think that's important for people to understand as far as the speculation within the information we're getting on the OCG market news coming to here. I know I'm dropping a lot of information for you guys. I'm sorry if you guys can follow. Once again, no big deal. Check out my YouTube channel, YGOPaisano. And if you're listening, if you're watching this video on YouTube, check me out on Spotify. Check me out. I'm going to do a lot more of these podcasts because I think it's really important to really bring on the meta because I get a lot of information from random people about the market. And it's not wrong. It's just a take that they didn't add something. And maybe I'm learning as well, by the way. The market is the coolest thing about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Market is that we're always learning together. The only difference is how we can justify our understanding of what's happening in the market. I think that's the coolest part about it. So there's someone watching this video right now probably, or listening to this podcast right now that's going, this guy's 100% wrong. And they might, and hearing it, as far as the beginning when I said the market's not going to go back down, the market's not going to go where it was, it's just not going to happen anymore. Those days are gone. Those days of Ghost Rares being like $5 for the old Ghost Rares, those days are long gone. They might disagree, but maybe they can agree, or maybe the information not be, so it's a conversation about the market. But yeah, I think the Yu-Gi-Oh! Market it will go down, but not to the point where people want it to. It'll probably settle at best. Then it won't be consistent, obviously, because there'll still be a lot of cards that will go up as the market's selling on other cards. Collectible cards, they're probably only going to be going higher and higher and higher in value. Historically speaking, as the game progresses, and we can grab information from Magic the Gathering. As the game progresses, old school hardware cards rise in value exponentially. Not like a little bit, not like, oh, Blue Eyes White Dragon, DDS was $1 this year, now it's $5. Wow, no. We're talking, this card was $1,000, at the end of the year, the card was $2,500. Next year, it's $5,000 or $7,000. That's what I'm talking about. I think it's really important for people to understand the fact that the collector's market is going to impact the TCG market heavily as time goes on. And it already is, but it's only getting crazier. That's why if you're a competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Player, and I love how Konami does this, they throw little ways for competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Players to get involved in the collector's market. Not only get involved in the collector's market, but also to sell if you don't want to get involved to the collector's market. My favorite example, the World Celebration envelopes. There's a 2018, 2019, Konami, hopefully 2020. But those two envelopes are going for so much money. When the when the 2019 envelope first came out, people were vending that bad boy for $200. Now think about it this way: you go to locals, you win a locals, you get an envelope, or come second place, get an envelope, or get a randomly get an envelope when they roll a dice, which is so anyway. You get an envelope, and with that envelope, you go to a vendor and sell it for $200. That's good money. That's immediate gain for your $5 or $10 entry. But you can also hold that envelope and sell it down the line. And I believe the 2019 envelope, if I'm not mistaken, is like $1,500 or $2,000 right now on eBay/Sushi Play. It's insanely expensive, and it's only going to get higher. So listen, guys, I really think that that the market is here to stay. The market's only going to grow as the game progresses. We already seen it grow, and we're going to continue to see it grow. And anyone who get invested in the market, anyone's looking to buy cards in the market, anyone's looking to sell cards in the market, when to buy, when to sell, why should I do this? Definitely check out my YouTube channel, YGOPaisano. I go over a bunch of cards every other day at this point. I'm trying to do it every day, but I'm running around, especially during the winter time when I'm really busy with work. But I'm trying to do as much as possible so we can have an understanding and grasp as far as what is going to be the card you should buy, what is going to be the card you should sell, and why. The biggest question everyone should always be asking for whenever you involve money in investment and speculation is why. Why do I want to do this? Why do I want to sell this? Should I hold this? And why should I hold this? What's information? It's always something we always should be asking, because the result is always going to be you wanting more more to get out than what you put in. Anyway, Paisanos, I really appreciate you guys listening or watching my videos. This is the first time I'm doing something like this. Spur of the moment kind of thing, but I think you guys will really like it. It's your boy V, and you Paisanos, well, you Paisanos have a great day.